there's one universal truth. My wife is when my wife is certain about something, she's definitely right. Like I'll question my own existence before I'll question my wife on certain things. So
you just have to know when that is, right? Or like,
yeah,
when she's really certain.
yeah. She's almost always right about everything except. Welcome back, everyone. Craig and Jonah here. It's been a little while.
It has been a while.
I was gone for pretty near 2 weeks.
Pert near. That's
that's California slang.
Yeah. That sure is.
Oh man, it's I'm still exhausted, and we did a bunch of episodes before I left, and so we got back 2 nights ago. So I'm still kind of recovering from that.
Yeah.
Lots of wild thoughts went through my mind about all of this stuff in the midst of 10 days on the road with 9 kids and
so what were the highlights then?
Just okay. Well, all right. So I realized a couple things. I realized why we never do this.
Traveling with only 1 or 2 kids is much easier, I'm sure.
It's traveling. So traveling with 9 children, so 11 people, is it's a lot of moving parts. It's a lot of money. I just feel like wherever I go, just here, take $100 bills.
Just make it rain.
It does. I couldn't even get donuts for just barely under $100.
If you travel with 9 kids, just carry $100 bills.
Here, just take it.
And lots of plastic.
Oh, I kept waiting for my credit card company to call me up and like, someone steal your card?
Huh.
So I realized why we never do that, and this is like a once in a lifetime trip, I hope. But it was pretty good. We spent 2 weekends, about 10 days, out west, visiting our oldest son, who's stationed in California.
How was flying?
That went pretty good, although I just about got in the doghouse literally before we got on the airplane.
Okay.
And there's one universal truth. My wife is when my wife is certain about something, she's definitely right. Like I'll question my own existence before I'll question my wife on certain things. So
you just have to know when that is, right? Or like,
yeah,
when she's really certain.
Yeah, she's almost always right about everything except intimacy issues. She has this strange inability to recall how long it's been. There's this weird part of their brain that just can't keep track of all that. So you got to write that down, guys.
Put it on the calendar or whatever.
That's right. You got to show it to her, and she still won't believe you.
She has to initial it, probably.
Yeah. Right. So anyway,
even that could be forged.
Yeah, it's literally the only part of life.
But you survived that then.
Yeah, so we had some travel issues. We had to get 3. So the airport is about 2.5 hours away, and to leave a vehicle there, it'd be like $400 parking fees.
Ooh.
Unless I parked off-site, and then you got to get on. You got just like.
So you paid the $400?
No. So I finally rented a big van, and it's not easy finding a vehicle that'll hold 11 people or 10 people until we got out there. So I I talked my baby brother into. I said, "Would you go? Would you?" Because I could get a nice rental vehicle, big 15-passenger van up there, as long as I brought it back here.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I had to wait for him to get off work, which is going to be cutting it close. So I picked him up. We got up there and literally hopped out, and he hopped in and drove the van straight back. Which okay,
Well, that was great.
so far so good. But it left us sort of a short window in the airport. So we're good. So this is the first time flying for some of the kids, and first time us flying in this kind of a group, right? And we've got bags like.
And bags and bags.
We look like the Beverly Hillbillies without the car. Like everything is piled all over the place. And the little kids can't really drag a suitcase, so we got. So we get there.
I can just see that.
You can't even. Like when we stop for a bathroom, it's like this huge.
Just a mound.
It looks like we're gonna start a bonfire right in the middle of the airport, right? So, all right. So we get there, and then we had to check a bag, because we had a big bag. This is where I don't know. My wife and I don't know, fight a little bit because
over checked luggage.
Well, so we bring this check bag of beach towels, which I'm like. So much of this stuff, I'm like, how much? Like, I would rather just buy it when we get out there and just leave it. Which we did a few things finally. But some stuff, I'm just like, it's $35 to check it, $35 back, $70. Like, I think I could buy a lot of. I don't know. I could buy a lot of stuff for that, and I don't have to go through the grief of checking a bag.
Was she right this time?
We only used them once. If you tell me, and then we forgot 2 of them out there.
I'm not going to make a judgment call.
I'm not either. I mean, I was right, but she doesn't watch this anymore, so I'm okay.
You can say it with full confidence.
Yeah, although I met one of our listeners out there.
No.
Yeah. We knew ahead of time. He lives in.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was like, you ran into somebody at the beach.
The first day we got there, actually, he came up, and I says, "Hey, I'm gonna just hang out a little bit with one of our listeners of the podcast." Like, you mean your gross one? Because I have multiple podcasts, but she knew which one. So anyway, back to the hotel, back to the airport. We get through that. We're going through security, and they saw us, and they kind of put us out.
Boy, that's really funny.
Yeah, they didn't know what to do with us. They're like, what? There's got to be some child trafficking going on, right?
We're gonna interrogate the crap out of you.
Nope, they stuck us on our own line for our sake and for the sake of everyone else around us. So we're going through.
So that's an advantage of having 9 kids.
Yeah, it does have certain advantages.
It's so funny. You would get your own line at TSA.
I kid you not. They opened up a new line for us. So my wife's at the front of the line, and I'm at the back of the line, and so we're putting bags through the security.
It's so funny. I'm sorry. I can't believe they made your own line.
So we're getting through, and I'm kind of looking at the clock, and we're kind of hustling. We get through, and get to the other side, and we've got like 15 minutes to get to our gate before they start boarding. And of course, you got to dump all your water out. You can't take any liquids in with you. So
that's pretty close.
Yeah,
this is cutting it.
You're telling
quite
me.
Tight.
You're telling me. And to the extent we missed the opportunity to board first as kids and stuff like that. So we get to the other side, and my wife's like, "We're missing a bag." I'm like, "No, there's no way." She's like, "I'm certain." And I'm like, and I'm looking around because I can't tell. We've got a mountain of bags. We don't have a numbered or anything like that. I'm like, can't be. I was just through there. It's like, we're missing a bag. So I go back to the security person. I say, we're missing bags. He's like, there's no bag here. I'm like, my wife says we're missing a bag, so we're missing a bag. Check again. Sure enough, we missed it. I left a bag right at the front of the security conveyor, and I'm like, and I'm like, holy crap, they're gonna like take that bag because it's unattended. I'm like, and it has some important stuff in it.
Oh,
Thank God the security's like, okay, just here, grab it, go through. So like, but my wife was looking like the eyes were looking at me. This is all your fault, buddy.
Could have messed up the whole trip.
It was like I was like, holy cow, here we go. Got through, ran to the gate, almost ran to the gate. Get there, and then we had time to like have a couple of kids fill up some of the water bottles, but not all the water bottles, and we like literally had to get on this damn plane. Got on the plane. The flight itself actually went good. We flew to Las Vegas. Get to Las Vegas the first night, and I had my hotels ready, which the hotels are on the other side of the airport. But you still got to get to the airport. Yeah.
How was that?
Actually, it was fine.
Okay.
I didn't see much of anything. Although I have a story on the way back.
All right.
To get ice cream at 10 o'clock on Sunday night in Sin City. But so we get there, and we did not bring a car. We had they've got these like little inflatable booster seats for kids, which are really cool. Highly recommend that. And so the car seat for the 2-year-old we did not take, and that was probably a mistake. But we had one in the rental car, and I just didn't want to drag that thing around. Mm-hmm. So we get out there, but I've got to get to the hotel, and I hail an Uber with a Suburban. Comes over, is like, I can't take you without us. This is about 10 o'clock at night. We haven't eaten in a while. Everyone's crabby. I sent 4 of the kids on an Uber to the hotel, and so I'm there with my wife and the youngest kids, and all of a sudden the youngest starts throwing up all over my wife.
Oh man!
And I just wanted to crawl under a rock. My wife actually held it together pretty good, but she was getting a little cranky at that point.
Sure,
wasn't enthused about being stuck at the biggest one of the biggest airports around, covered in puke. And by this time, my kids had gotten to the airport, gotten to the hotel, which is anything but a fancy hotel. It was a nice hotel, but it was a little Days Inn. And they said, "Do you have a shuttle?" This is the thing I didn't get figured out. They had a shuttle. They had one more trip, and so they sent the shuttle over, and we all piled into this. And I threw a $20 bill in that driver's hand right away. I said, "You're a sight for sore eyes." Got to the hotel. We got checked in, but the first night was a little bit sketchy. Actually, the rest of the trip was pretty good.
But so your youngest didn't throw up because she was sick, or was like a hunger thing, or
it was just all the like rushing and not having a chance to eat anything or whatever. Mm-hmm. It wasn't repeated, but holy cow!
But that's quite a first day.
Yeah. Well, and then the other thing. So then the second day got iffy too, because I had reserved a rental car, one of these big 15-passenger vans, which you can't they just don't have them all over the place. And I had originally planned to have it that first day, but we didn't get out there in time to get it. So I was going to pick it up the next morning, and I called, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, you didn't pick it up, so it's gone. We don't have another 15-passenger van."
Oh man!
I'm like, "This is great." I said, "You're going to have to find one because So she's like, "Well, let me check and I'll call you back." Well, I didn't wait for her to call me back. I got an Expedia, and I'll be damned if I didn't find another one. And I reserved that thing right away. It was actually cheaper than the other one. But I was almost stuck in Las Vegas with 9 kids and not a way to get around. The first morning.
Oh man! So does your luck turn around?
It got much better after that.
That's good.
It got much better after that, to the point where, so the rest of the trip went really good, and I could talk about that. It, it- we did Disney and all that, and we drove around, and it was good. Spent some time in the ocean, but then getting back home. So the last day was a full travel day, which is, it always sucks coming back because you lose 2 hours. So I was up at 5 in the morning, 4:35 in the morning, because we had to get to the airport by 7, so I could drop everyone off. I had to take the vehicle to the car rental place, which is off site, and then get shuttled back. And actually, that worked okay, except that we taking the kids through security. We got all through security, and one of our daughters had still had a full water bottle in it, which I didn't find out about until. And again, this is where my wife and I disagree. So it's just a kid's plastic water bottle. The options are toss it in the trash or go all back through security and dump it out. What would you...
Throw it in the trash.
Nope.
Not even a question.
Wrong answer. Nope.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure she's right though.
she's nope. So guess who got to go all through security again, and not just like back, like all the way through, all through the whole zigzag line. This is why you have this is why you have husbands. You can send them on these quests, and they can't say no.
True.
Quite honestly, sitting in the line was actually better than sitting in the airport with all those kids. So I was like, all right.
Watch it by yourself.
Yeah, if you really want, this is the 15 minutes of peace and quiet I'm gonna get on this trip.
Well.
So anyway, so I had to go back through, dump the water bottle. I got through, got reconnected, got to our gate, and actually had about 15 minutes to spare, which is enough, but not too much. That's the thing. The little kids, you can't sit in an airport for 2 hours with that many kids, because they'll disappear or they'll start buying stuff, and then you have to like call up and get a second mortgage. Buy anything on the other side of security in an airport. Well, so we got there, and this time the lady was. I said, and we had checked the big bag. This time I checked in advance. I got our boarding tickets on our phone and stuff, and but I was like, we're gonna be at the back of this plane. And I thought we were going to load last. I said, can we check, so they'll check any of the bags that technically can go on the airplane. So we checked like 4 of them, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Then we really pretty much just had backpacks at that point in time. So got on, got back to near home. And then I realized that I had made the same mistake with my rental car the last time. And like it's a no show. Like if it's no show, it's not like they charge you and hold the thing. They just assume you're not getting it, and they just release you for your contract. Well, I didn't want that. I wanted a car.
Mm-hmm.
We were going to drive 2 vehicles back because I couldn't find a big van that would go one way. Otherwise I was going to. So here's what I ended up having to do. So I was sitting this time I had budget car rental, and I will never do budget again. The line was full of people like, cheapskates like myself, and
Mm-hmm.
all the other ones had like 2 people in it. So I will never do that again.
It's worth the extra $5 to go somewhere else.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm in the line, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm past my check-in time. They could do the same thing and say, yeah, we don't have those vehicles for you anymore. And here it's at the end. It's been a long travel day. We still haven't had lunch or anything like that. My wife was actually in a pretty good mood at this point in time, but I knew there was an expiration on that.
The calm before the storm, maybe.
So I'm sitting in line, and the Hertz booth is down the two rows down. There's nobody in line. So I'm sitting on there. I go on Expedia, and I'm like, oh, I found a 15-passenger van. Cheap. But I'd have to we'd have to go home, and then I would literally have to drive it straight back to the airport by 11 o'clock that night, and then come home. But I was like, it's either that or I'm stranded in Minneapolis. So I'm in the line for the budget, and I booked another vehicle with Hertz, thinking I'm going to need that vehicle. Come to find out that that vehicle wasn't at the airport location; it was a couple miles away. So I was going to have to get on an Uber. At that point, I didn't care, but but unlike the other ones, that one has a cancellation fee of $100. You sacrifice $100 if you don't show up. Which at this point, like I said, this is just change. It's just pocket change at this point in time. I'm not even going to look at my credit card bill for a
After
while.
Disneyland and everything else, this is nothing.
It was worth the price of security to not have to go to my wife and tell her, by the way, we don't have a way to get out of the city. It was the easiest $100 I ever spent.
Man, this is so wild.
But get to line and I'll be damned if they don't have the cars and they're going to honor it. Like I said, it was going to be a one way. I didn't have to take these cars back.
Well, that's much better than driving it back.
Yeah.
To the airport.
Yeah.
Man.
I mean, I was thinking to myself, this is going to be so miserable. I mean, I'm going to when I finally told my wife after the fact, she's like, yeah, I was going to make you, I would have made you stay in the cities. There's no reason coming back, but whew. So, but there's a reason why budget is cheaper than everyone else's. So got there, and I said, oh, by the way, I need a car seat. Okay. And, which had been part of my reservation, and go through. And then my guy just disappears for a while. 15 minutes later comes back. I said, I need my wife because I need her driver's license because we have to get two vehicles. Mm-hmm. And he comes back. All right, good. And then I did not have a chance to go cancel the Hertz one. I think if I'd have gotten to the Hertz desk, literally two spots down, I think I could have canceled it without charging $100. But at that point, I didn't care. Get all the kids. We go up a flight. We go out there and we wait. And they say, stop at the tent. There's a tent right outside the Hertz or the budget window. We stand there. There's no one there. And we stand there, and then people start pulling up. And pretty soon there's this crowd of people, thank goodness, behind us. There's no budget person around. They're not there. There's cars there. There's guys driving cars around, but there's no one there to help us. Finally, someone shows up, and the minivan was ready. So sent my wife and some of the kids over there, but I didn't have a car seat. And then finally, I sat in line for probably 45 minutes out in this parking ramp, waiting for someone to give me a car. I was
waiting.
I was close to just getting in a car and driving away. I'm like, if they leave the keys in it can't really be that bad if I take the car.
It's a misunderstanding.
Just a misunderstanding. But I got the wife in the van, but she, like I said, she couldn't leave because we needed the car seat. And he's like, yeah, I don't have a rear-facing car seat. I don't care. Just give me a forward-facing one at this point in time. I'll just give me bailing twine. I don't care. So got that in, and then the rest of the trip was pretty uneventful. But
man, you had some issues.
Yeah, that's the way traveling is. There's a reason why no one does it.
With 9 kids.
So next time we're driving, I don't care.
Yeah, I can see how that is easier. I mean, you're kind of squirrely in the vehicles, vehicle.
Well, if we can get our school bus done, then we can travel and just park on the side of the road. I mean, we had a drive from Las Vegas to Los Angeles, which is about a 4-hour drive. Except we drove on Memorial Day evening. Yeah. It took us 7.5 hours to get. Of which the first chunk was about 3 hours across the desert. That took us 45 minutes on the way back.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Wow. So what happened in Las Vegas then? Were you getting ice cream at 10 o'clock at night?
Yeah. So the return trip actually went good. We were flying with everybody that, they all drive 85 miles per hour, and I'm thinking this is great. And actually that went good. Got into town, and by this point I was so sick and tired of eating fast food or food out. So we got into Vegas about it was about 9 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock. And we're the airport is right downtown by the strip. Our hotel is right by the strip. And I'm like, okay. I Googled it. Yeah, there's like 3 or 4 Dairy Queens in the area. Get people, get a nice Blizzard or something to kind of put something in your belly, but kind of just refreshing, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had eaten Domino's pizza like three times, which again is $100 and some to get 4 pizzas in Las Vegas or wherever, and no one really wanted to do that. So I was like, okay, I'll go get some ice cream. So I go and I follow it, and here are the Dairy Queens are all in the middle of these massive casino hotels. And I'm like, and I had one of our sons with us, which was fine, except that I'm like, I'm driving around with a 15 passenger van. I'm not going to go into a damn casino, try and park this thing, and then get ice cream and get out.
Mm-hmm.
So I went. That one didn't work. I was like, all right. I Googled it, looked for another one. It wasn't by a casino hotel, so we drove to the other side of the airport, and this one is at the UNLV Center or something like
Okay.
that. So it's closed. It's only there. It's inside the convention center, and the parking lot is empty. I'm like, well, that's a scratch. So then I finally, and now things are starting to close, and I found this yogurt place on the other side of the airport. So this is like 45 minutes later, driving around, just like I would have robbed an ice cream man if I seen one at that point. I didn't care.
It's a lot of urgency.
Oh, like literally at that point, price didn't matter. It was just about fulfilling the duty. got around. I found myself in this strange little ritzy shopping area that had one of these yogurt things where they pay that you pay by the ounce.
Mm-hmm. An exorbitant rate.
Oh yeah, but
Some
at that
high
point
quality yogurt.
Yeah. So I'm in there, and it's like it's like a self-serve. So they got this huge wall of things, and you pull your flavor, and then you go on, you put toppings on it. So I'm texting my wife.
Oh gosh, that's what I was thinking of. It's just all the options and who's gonna get what, and you can't possibly get it all right.
She's like, oh, we got 3 that want the dirt cup, and I'm like, there's no dirt cup here. I don't care. She's like, what's on the menu? I'm like, I don't care. It's not here. It's not here.
It is there. It is on the menu.
No. So I went over to this one lady to ask her to help me out, and she didn't speak English, so that didn't help me. So I just started loading up containers.
Somebody will like this.
Just people are not going to have a chance to be picky anymore. So
how much did the yogurt cost?
Oh, it for like 8 dishes container, it was like, I don't know, $60-some. Which again, at that point, I didn't care. Just didn't care. Just. But then I'm like, I'm 20 minutes from the hotel now, and it's like 110 degrees all the time in Las Vegas. I'm like, we gotta get this back to the hotel before it all melts.
Oh man.
So, anyway.
Well, that's quite an adventure.
It was really good, but my oh my, it's just exhausting.
So did you and your wife find any times for like, just doing something by yourself though?
Very little.
Yeah.
There was I extended some invitations.
They weren't taken though?
Most of them weren't. We had one chance, and it was at the Hoover Dam Lodge. Nice place.
Yeah.
So it wasn't all lost cause. I didn't have any expectations going in. We had 2 hotels.
So that was the best dam part of the trip?
Yeah. Actually, the Hoover Dam was my favorite part of the trip. Oh. I really enjoyed that. We drove across that thing, drove back, and then
Mm-hmm.
there's a huge bridge. And we walked out on that. My wife wasn't sure she wanted to do it, so we walked out on this bridge, which literally looks way up above and down on Hoover Dam. Think about that.
Yeah.
So we went out there and took pictures and stuff like that. That was a lot of fun. Kids love Disney, but I couldn't wait to get out of Disney. There's
Yeah.
just so many people waiting in line 45 minutes to go on a ride.
Did you do one day at Disney?
Yeah,
That was enough.
that was enough. We got to about 8 o'clock at night, and that thing's open till 11 o'clock, and they have like fireworks and a parade. And I'm like, we were all to the point where like, and it was fun, but we were exhausted, so we got back to the hotel and whew. So anyway, yeah, it was a wild trip, and actually it went fairly well. But even a good trip, it just has some of these twists and turns.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, that's a lot of activity. Is there like a moral to the story?
yeah, do it. Like, just do it. Like, you got to do those things. I'm glad we did it. But you know, it's. I realized one thing when I was out there. For us, I realized why I'm always exhausted is I've had a 2-year-old around for the last 20 years. Traveling with a 2-year-old is definitely the hardest part. Like, it adds a layer of like sleeping arrangements, and our child doesn't just lay there. Like, if she's up, she'll escape. She'll go through the window. So having a 2-year-old, is really, really tough. It's tough to travel. It's tough. It makes it difficult to have quality time with your spouse.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely the biggest barrier to intimacy, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're just little ticking time bombs.
Don't even need NFP.
No, they pretty much do that for you. They build in the abstinence for you. Whew. So, I'm ready to not have a 2-year-old anymore, and
You're ready to move on.
yeah, to the point where I'm ready to be a grandpa. That's what it takes to not have to. So I think, to me, I think that's the thing that people don't realize, and it is having those small kids around all the time for
Mm-hmm.
20 years or however long it is, that really, that's a huge X factor in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Traveling, just whatever, your home life, planning things. It's just, yeah.
That's true. My wife and I talk about that as well, and we've only had a little child like that for a little over 10 years.
Yeah.
But it does make a difference. And when we go on trips, and we just do road trips with the kids, but it is wild, and it's good though in the end. It's something that I don't know if they'll even totally remember it, because some of your older kids will, and but the little ones won't for sure. But it's just a good family trip, I guess. And
yeah,
something different and unique.
Oh yeah, it was good, and I took a lot of video while we were out there and pictures and stuff. And but it is tough because, and this is true with life at all. When you have a big family, the stuff that the 14-year-olds would like to do, or things you'd like to do with them, are impacted by the fact that we have a 2-year-old, and either you split people up, and one of the parent has half the kids or whatever. Like, it just. It is the Catholic tax, I guess, of having big families. There is a lot of sacrifice that everyone makes, kids and mom and dad alike, to have a big family and have sort of this prolonged baby diaper 2-year-old toddler phase. So,
and it'll actually be the youngest kids that get to do all that stuff.
Yeah, Yep, they're going to be
ironically.
Yep. So
Yeah.
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 So anyway,
and they'll have more money by then. As far as you won't.
You'd like to think so. Yeah.
I just mean as far as you want to take care of the older kids, probably.
Yeah. No, I mean it is. We're the youngest kids are going to benefit from that because there's going to gradually become less kids, and mom and dad will finally have more money. So we'll probably do another trip. I don't know if it'll be next year, but a little more frequently now.
It is interesting to think about because I grew up in a smaller family, and when we went on trips, we could just do whatever we wanted.
Yep.
And you're right, that's not the
Yep.
case if you're 17 years old, but you have a 2-year-old sibling.
Yep.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's that. Yeah, I don't want to talk about the trip anymore.
No, that's just it. Like that kind of stuff is exhausting, but it's worth it in the end.
Yeah.
When you look back at the photos and everything, it's
Yep.
I'm sure it's a great time.
Yep. So the biggest X factor is I got to come back to the dreaded task of opening up my email for the first time in 10 days. That's when right now is a real price paid for that trip.
So you didn't look at it at all?
I did not. That was the first time.
Wow.
Ever.
Was that difficult?
Not as hard as I thought it would be, but I paid for it.
Yeah.
But that's the hard, it is what it is. You make a lot of sacrifices. But
I'm sure the kids were excited to see their older brother.
Oh yeah. It was sad to leave him. It was sad. I cried more than I have in a long time.
Oh man.
Which is okay, but then our 6-year-old daughter she would just lose it. I'd look at her and I was started all over again, and so that was the hard part. The trip ended with saying goodbye to him.
Yeah.
And we haven't seen him for close to a year, and maybe we'll see him at Christmas. I don't know. We'll see. But
yep.
Well,
that's great.
So anyway, that's the story of the vacation. So anyway, all right. Thanks for putting up with all that.
Yep.
And thank you, Jonah. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And until next time, everyone.
Bye.
Have a good one.